Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Nelson County Board of Education to order on today, June 13th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Can we all please rise as we say the lead in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. First item is the meeting goals and agenda, and that is going to be led by our superintendent, Mr. Bradley.
Welcome to the Nelson County ATC for back-to-back weeks here in June. Tonight we'll be learning about some of the work going on at the Nelson County Area Technology Center, hearing from some of the program leaders as well as the students. We'll be later in the meeting looking at some of the work going on around the district. Some of the work going on around the district that includes professional learning throughout the summer, as well as taking time to look at the master plan work going on at Nelson County High School campus and thinking about next steps for facilities. So I'll get the projector fixed.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have our student and staff showcase. That's the Up Center Vision and Data Dashboard. Don't move so quick.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome to the ATC again. We love having you here. If you want to come back next month, I'll talk to Emmy. We can arrange it. It's going to be fine. No, we're so grateful you're here. We're excited to celebrate our students. We're excited to celebrate our partners and excited to celebrate our staff. Before we get started, I want to take a moment. If you are an ATC staff member, could you stand up just real quick just to be recognized? Because we want to celebrate you. Sorry, put you on the spot. Should have warned you. All right. So here at the ATC, we know that career and technical education is what is going to give our students options for the future. That's something that we're excited about, and we know that our programs multiply those options. And that's because we unite students with people, place, and purpose. It's not just a saying. We live it. We see it. It's never been more alive than it is in this building. So today, when we have our employer up here to speak to you, when we have our students up here to speak to you, and we have our leaders up here to speak to you, I'm excited for them to share a little bit more about how uniting people, place, and purpose is alive and thriving in the ATC. So to kick us off, get us started, I'm going to invite Miss Misty Roller up here. She's our community relations lead, and she is going to talk to you about partnerships.
Thank you. So when we think about multipliers for our students, that is not possible without strong, powerful partnerships. And we invited a community partner that has been longstanding in our ATC family for many, many years, actually very longstanding in the community for over 100 years, and that would be Conway Heaton. So Mr. Bill Conway, would you please come up? I have asked him to come tonight. I want to thank you so much for everything that you do, not just for our school, but for our community. I mean, to be in business for over 100 years, and it's just a really valuable asset that you guys are to our community. So thank you for being here. So I've asked him to come tonight to share a little bit of history with you guys on their involvement with the ATC, and also to provide some benefits that the ATC has provided to him and his business. So.
Well, thank you all for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be able to come and speak to you. We've had a great partnership with the Nelson County ATC program for a long, long time, and hired a lot of high school students right out of high school to go right into our program. Dick Heaton, my partner, myself, been involved in the ATC program, both of us, 45 years. Been standing a long time doing that. But we were on the committee that, the Automotive Class Advisory Committee. Both of us served on that. And also buy some cars to work on. Actually, way before this started, I used to work as a filler. The teacher back in the 70s, 80s, worked the class, call us up and got stars. Job. A lot of them stay, would go, but several that stayed with us. Parts manager, foreman, had several retired after. In fact, last Friday, Ethan retired for the second time. No, it's amazing what you can do, and it's exciting to see how everything is evolving here with the Up Center and really right. Wonderful, really good time. Applies employment. Hey, baby boom. $75 billion hiring for train. So, our business. Seven. Right. Hey, week got 4 news. Right. Working. Like this. Washington. Or really. Really do. You know, you need to find trade work. Then it's based they can different in a classroom. Even get certification. All these certifications. Put a car on. Right. Wow.
Yes, pension. Still doing it. That's the power. The power of partnerships right there.
You can just turn it off. That'll work.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you both for coming up and sharing the benefits that we provide. So you've gotten to hear the benefit from a partner standpoint. You've gotten to hear the benefit from an instructor standpoint, but the real power is from a student's perspective. So I'm going to ask Brett Thompson to come up. He's got some really sweet words to say, and I just feel like we could probably just drop the mic when he's done, so take it away.
All right, how's everybody doing today? My name's Brett Thompson. I would like to start off by saying thank you to Mr. Boblett, Ms. Berryman, Mr. Mattingly, and everyone here at the ATC today. Connecting with everyone at the ATC has helped me with my co-op position in many ways. I've always enjoyed learning with hands-on experience. Mr. Mattingly gave me that opportunity throughout the year. He was someone that really cared about teaching real-life skills. We took several field trips, one of which was actually RMAG, which is where I'm currently working. Going there on a field trip drew me in and gave me the opportunity of working there. Any questions I had, I could always count on Mr. Mattingly answering them. He made class not only a learning experience, but a fun class that you really looked forward to going to. Mr. Boblett and Ms. Berryman always checked up on me to see how school was going, making sure I got the experiences I wanted, and were very supportive of me. The ATC is a huge part of my job. Not many places will hire high school students to work with very important tasks. But with having the ATC staff recommendations that see you every day, know you're knowledgeable, reliable, and work hard, placement for a job becomes way easier. The ATC will play a role in my future because it gives students such a great head start to the workforce. Taking the electrical class has prepared me for my future goals in becoming an electrician. With so many workforce pathways to choose from at the ATC, no matter which pathway you choose, they are all a head start to your future. So many people struggle with what career to do in life. The ATC takes away all the wondering and puts you there.
So I'm going to invite Ms. Berryman back up, but before you go, Brett and Mr. Swamley and Mr. Bill, would you please come forward? I've got a little token. Value, all
you, we didn't pay Brett to say those nice things. Promise. Always, I sent him 2 questions, and that's where he came up with. So that was too beautiful, Brett. Thank you so much. So Brett's story, Bill's story, really exemplifies the power of connecting students with the right people, connecting students with the right places, helping them find a purpose. So when we talk about benefits tonight, that's where we're going to start. You open this. If you need extras, there's some on the table. You'll see that our benefits tonight, when we talk about what we want students to take away from this place, are aligned to people, place, purpose. And then below at the bottom are the signaling questions we're wanting to measure to make sure that we are doing that. So this is just a beginning conversation. We know that we're going to get smarter over the next year as we start to monitor these, but we are very excited about making sure that students have all of the skills, all of the opportunities they get to end up like Brett. So to start us off with people, I'm going to bring Misty back up here, and she's going to walk us through the benefit of uniting people.
So you can, okay. So yes, so I think Brett really summed it up. I mean, his words speak to the testament and the value of uniting people. His place, when he was involved here, he was allowed to network with people that connected him to the right place and has given him the purpose. So our benefit for the ATC is to build professional networks while they're here, opening up and exposing them to people that they may not have otherwise ever come in contact with. You know, RMAG, we like to think of RMAG as our welding community partner. And then through the collaboration of electrical and welding, they decided to go on a field trip together. Well, that opened up a door for one of our electrical students. RMAG recognized, hey, we can have a student that's in electrical come work for us. So that's just the power of people. So how we measure that, we want our students to have at least 5 professional ties when they leave us. And those ties can be weak ties or they can be strong ties. I mean, how often, I feel like the acquaintances have such an impact on you. You don't necessarily have to be best friends with that person to open up another world. As long as you know someone that knows someone, your world is wide open. And I feel like this place allows that for our students. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kyle Boblet. Oh, we got one more slide? Oh. Okay. So, yes, we do have one more slide. Thank you, Mr. Boblet. So, as I was saying earlier, Brett Thompson is just one of 500 students. 500. When I look at this slide, I see 501 students is who we impacted this past year. That's 500 opportunities for us to broaden their circle, expand their network. We reach students from not only just Nelson County area, but Bardstown schools. We even trickle over into LaRue County and Bethlehem, who also serves Washington, LaRue, Hardin. Like, when we grow, this place needs to be more than just a community center. It needs to be a regional center. And I feel like looking at this right here, it gives us so many opportunities to reach students and really impact their future and their success. So now, Mr. Boblet.
Thank you, Ms. Roller. You know, the power of place, uniting with place. I think place is something we take for granted a lot of the time. You know, for 18 years, I've been in education, and we all have seen the students who sometimes when they walk in our building, their body language literally changes because of the experience that they may have had up to this point. Maybe what they're being asked to do in the classroom in some of our schools is maybe not what they're gifted at. Maybe it's not what they truly enjoy or care about. So I think this place is a great example of the power of place because we have kids who have that same body language walking into other schools that are leaders in our building. And we found that out through conversations with leaders in other schools. Hey, can such and such student be here? He's getting a leadership award. What? He's getting a leadership award? Yes, he is, because in this place, he has it's a different experience for him. And we can apply that just as easily to the industry. We can talk about Conway Heaton all day. We can write books, we can write papers about it. But when those kids get to go to that place, it's a whole different perspective, whole different learning experience. And we've seen that it gives kids confidence. Brett is another great example of that. He mentioned, and I promise you I didn't tell him to, he mentioned his field trip to RMAG. And being in that place, it gives them confidence, gives them perspective, it makes it real. And so we really want to make that one of our markers. It's something that, we're not sure exactly how we're going to measure it specifically. We do know that we're going to figure it out, though. We're going to be aiming at it, and we're going to find a good system to make sure that our kids are getting to those places to where they can have those experiences. If you could please change the slide. And then, this is a big part of us creating those place-based experiences, is the 61 community partners that we have. They're active industry partners. I want to give a huge shout out to Misty Roller, who's put in a ton of work on this, along with Amber Godey, Laura Arnold, our workforce team. They put in a ton of work, and the more relationships that we have, the more opportunities we have to make places like Conway Heaton a classroom for our kids. And just because we truly believe in the power of place, and we're excited to continue to make that one of our benefits for our students. And with that, Ms. Berryman's going to come up and talk a bit about the power of purpose.
So we've talked about networks, we've talked about places. Now it's time to talk about the nitty-gritty stuff, the stuff that's really going to drive a student's success in the workplace, and those are the skills they need to be successful. So our benefit that we want to provide students is we want to give them as many amazing, meaningful, intentional, purposeful, authentic learning opportunities that are going to help them build all the skills they need for the workforce. And we're calling those power skills. And those are a healthy combination of the technical skills they need in that trade and the soft skills they need to be employable. And so when we talk about those, our signal is we want every student to grow in that area. So we're working this summer to think about ways that we can monitor that, ways we can make sure the students are showing those skills. So when we talk about power skills, you've probably seen them before as the 4C competencies. So take you back in time to Mago, one of the most powerful Ignites I've ever been to. We talked through those 4 C's: communicator, critical thinker, collaborator, and contributor. And we took your all's feedback and thinking about, okay, what does that really mean? And how do we define those? So we're excited this year to dive into one of these C's to figure out how do we measure that? How do we make sure that students are demonstrating skills that are going to translate smoothly and successfully into the workplace? And we already have one data point to start that. So we have industry certifications for every program. That's one piece of evidence we can say this student has the technical skills that they need in their trade. So we had over 170 students earn a certification that would qualify as career ready. So it's that checkbox from the state saying, yes, our students are ready to move forward. But there are a lot of certifications, a lot of them in automotive, that may not fall into that category, but are equally as meaningful. And so when you add up all of these, including OSHA 10, which is a big certification in our industries, it's an outstanding number. And so we're excited that our students have put in the work and they've really achieved these amazing goals. And this is just one marker we're going to use next year to show student success and growth over time. So to close, we come back again. You're going to get tired of me hearing me say it. It's going to get worse, I promise you. Is this idea that we can connect students with the right people and the right places, and it's going to help them find their future. Rhett was a beautiful example of that. Now that we've connected him with Mr. Mattingly, with Ben Bruce at RMAG, he's able to see, this is what I need to do. This is what I was made to do. And that's beautiful. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to our community partner, who's wonderful. Thank you for listening to our student. And please come visit us. We love having you here. Do you all have any questions for us?
Charlie, is this beam of light a part of the picture, or is that just magically reflecting? What? There's a beam of light coming off of this young man into your eyes. You've got, it's
So that's Devin. Devin was in my 4th grade. I'm not going to brag or anything. Just saying.
Kelsey, do you mind speaking a little bit more to the 4Cs conversations and what it looks like to move this conversation forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So when thinking about the 4 Cs, especially in the lens of our trades, if we were going to zoom in and focus on one piece, critical thinker is a natural entry point. There is so much critical thinking that happens in our trades. so much natural math and science that I think Mr. Swamley alluded to that just fits in that beautifully. So as we go into next year, our team is going to be coming together, looking at our content, and building quarterly community assessments, which we're going to be calling Skill Up. So we're going to be using Skills USA, our leadership organization, as an entry point to think about how do we measure student success. So as students are performing a task within their trade, there will be industry partners, teachers there looking for them to demonstrate specific skills within the lens of critical thinker. So under welding, for example, applying data and information, being able to use a print. Every person we've talked to, they got to be able to read a print, use it accurately. They have to be able to measure and make conversions accurately. So using that critical thinker, measuring student success, and then tracking that over 4 quarters to show growth. And then in that, allowing students space to say, okay, how did I perform as a critical thinker? So that they have an active hand on that. And we'll have a data dashboard that shows how that student has reported themselves performing, how Mr. Swamley's reported that student performing over time, so that we can see, ooh, student hasn't grown the past quarter. What do we need to do to help them with this specific skill? So it's really going to be data that's going to help us drive forward. It's going to be data we can share with our employers to say, hey, when we talk about Brett Thompson, let me tell you about his critical thinking. And we can show that evidence. So we're looking at building a progression for critical thinker for each program, creating a method to collect that data, and then our instructors are creating those quarterly community assessments to measure that aligned with Skills USA.
Now, you guys also sit down and get this feedback from the workforce as well, correct?
Yeah, so when we think about these progressions, the goal is that if you think about a rubric, what it looks like is when they hit that next level professional life success column for us, then it enters into that co-op experience. And then how does it expand? So their learning doesn't stop here. We want to make sure that ours connects directly to what they're doing in the workforce, what they're doing in co-op. And this year, Mr. Boblet led that with employers, with students, as they went into their workplaces to make sure that they are demonstrating these skills, and they used it through the lens of communicator a little bit, but really focused on contributor there.
That has to be pretty impactful when you go to hire people, to be able to see how they fit into each one of those categories. I think that's something if you've ever been in that position to hire, like you guys have, it's the unanswered question a lot of times, and being able to see that, especially in our young adults as they graduate, is such an advantage to our community and to the people that are hiring our graduates, that they're able to see that right off the bat, that they're prepared for the workforce. And they're not even just considering it a workforce, they're prepared for the team they're getting ready to work with. And that's extremely powerful.
I think, Mr. Conway, you said it, you can have all these certifications and all these wonderful certificates on your wall. If you can't go up, you can't put in the work, you can't actually do the job that you were hired to do, a lot. So that's why that certification is an important piece, but it's just one piece of evidence. And we know that critical thinker is more than that.
Well, I have a unique story. I was out to Mr. Conway's store today, getting a truck of mine looked at and getting an estimate put on it. And had some, I just asked the lady there, gave me some great customer service. I love that, by the way. The lady in the back here, can't remember her name. I can't remember her name. So, but she's great customer service. Thank her very much. But asked her if she was involved with the ATC Center. She said, "Oh yeah, we got a great student here that's performing now." And then I said, "Great, that's what I need to hear." And she went on to tell me how great he was as math and English and communication, and he's got a good work habit. That's great to hear. Thank you for being a part of us and getting these kids in a job. Thank you.
I think it's just important for employers to invest in our schools as it is for the teacher or the student to invest their time and energy into schools and into the employer. I'm sorry. It just and your places always look like a lovely place to work. Yeah, and I want to thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sure do.
Just quick question, a piece of data, and it's nothing that need to have right now, but I'd be curious about for the future. You know, there's a lot of data on the back here. The Level Up event that was towards the end of the school year, and it may be something that Mr. Boblet maybe is already tracking. I'd be curious how many of our students walked right out of school into that workforce. You know, we got to see several of them have their signing day. I know with some of our local community partners, as well as there was the one I think that signed with the electrical apprenticeship. And so I'm just kind of curious if we have an idea, because every time that, you know, we have that opportunity where that student finds what their passion is, kind of like what we've heard here, that, you know, they walk in here, they're excited, they're engaged. I think that's another piece of success, not only for that child, not only for their parents, but also for the school district and the staff here. So I'd just be curious sometime to kind of know, you know, how many students had that opportunity, that they graduated. And I still remember back several years ago, there was the example, it was one of the local welding partners. They had, the partner said as soon as he graduates, his truck is waiting for him. And that's something I still remember to this day. So I'm just kind of curious sometime if we have some of that information.
So at that Level Up event, we celebrated over 10 students who signed with an employer who are walking out of high school with a contract saying, I'm working full time. And we found out there's a lot of students who came to us that week and they're like, I think we're going to sign. I think I'm going to sign. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's huge. Wish we could celebrate you. I wish we could go back in time and celebrate you. So there's, I don't have an exact number for you, but it's beautiful. I think it's a huge.
Sure.
I know I couldn't tell it myself.
So
That's awesome.
100% success right there, yeah.
That's
Well, and that might be something somehow, if we can make that connection with those students as alumnus, and some follow-up to find out. So, like the one that you were just talking about, Ms. Berryman, you know, I think we could just turn back the clock there, we'd be celebrating you as well. Maybe that's something that we can look at doing to ensure that we have that connection with students that leave us. So.
I love that. And I think Ted this year has actually started that, is he started making cold calls to alumni, looking at people who've graduated recently, but also what.
That way then they can tell their story so that they can hear that it's not just you saying this, it's an actual student, former student saying this.
So one of the signals we'll have this year is that information. We'll be contacting every first-year graduate, third-year graduate, and fifth-year graduate to gather that data as a part of our district accountability. So, thank you, Ms. Berryman. Thank you guys for hosting.
Okay.
Looks great, as always.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is guest comment. Again, thank you for attending our board meeting. Any person wishing to address the board may do so by following these rules. Individuals representing themselves are limited to 3 minutes. Individuals representing a group are limited to 5 minutes. Please step forward, state your name and address, and if you're representing a group, state the name of the group you are representing. And the first name I have is Bill Osborne, and he's representing the Osborne 97. That's 5 minutes. Okay, one moment. Okay.
Okay, I'm here tonight, and I stated
For about a year, we've been talking about overcrowding and what we need to build and where it needs to be built. And I'm here tonight to say that I'm so honored and proud that we're finally going to get it. I'm on board 100%. This renovation for this building here needed to be done years ago. The bus garage, something else that had to be done because of how this trend unfold. We had to move that facility. I'm still a little uneasy about taking a facility that we built, that we were begged to build, the academy, and we're going to use that as part of the bus garage, and we still have over a $5 million debt on that facility as we speak. But anyway, I'm going to address the overcrowding. This is what I don't understand, and I'm all for building, but we need to build and stay within our means. You know, everybody wants to drive a Cadillac or a Volvo, but sometimes we have to settle for a Chevrolet or a Ford. Bill Conway. But anyway, currently, on the latest numbers that I had, in Boston, we had a capacity of 383, we had 400 students, 5%. Part of that is due to moving the early childhood kids to Boston. So when we built Boston, we had to move the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in this area, over group meetings. We had to move them in order to get the numbers up to where we could build that facility. We had to move those kids back to Boston. They were at Old Kentucky Home at that time. And we made the comment, you know, that if the growth comes, there's always that outside chance that those kids may have to go back home. So the next school we want to address is New Haven. They have a capacity of 548, they currently have 377 students. So plenty of room there. Old Kentucky Home, 700, 369 students. And it's my understanding that there's only one school in the district that is overcrowded, and I guess my question is, what is the urgency? I know we need to have dialogue and discussion about what the future holds. I was told as a board member in 05 that growth is going to be 18% a year for the next so many years, and I made it clear that I disagreed with the state, I disagreed with the superintendent. Growth is coming in Nelson County, but it's not going to be in our district. It's going to be in Barstow City Schools and the private are the Peppers. And I ran into Jan Lance not too long ago, and she looked at me and she said, "You were right." She said, "How did you know that?" I said, "Jan, I've been here all my life. I saw as a board member, even in those years, we were starting to lose students to Clarkston. Back then, every student that transferred, there had to be an out-of-district contract signed. I sat in my office sometimes for hours signing those contracts. So currently, when I left the board, it was about 120. This year, according to the Director of Pupil Personnel at Barstow, we had 834 students currently at the Barstow City Schools that live in the county. And last month, there was I don't know who said it, but they said, well, the reason that happened is because where they live and the transportation issue, and I disagree. I think families are putting their kids where they think they can sell at a higher rate. But I want to get back to those things. You know, in the 90s, this school district was awesome. And that's where I want to be. And I've only got about a minute left. I'm going to get off of that. I guess my suggestion would be, if we're that overcrowded in Boston, why can't we move those 6, 7, 8 graders back to Open Home? We have plenty of room, and that's just a thought. And the next thing, the thing I want to close in, academically, we need to, I guess, be kept up to date on what our district is doing to correct the problem that we had this past year with the state of our schools. What are we doing to move those schools forward? As a taxpayer, as a parent, and my kids were former students here, I think we need to keep up to date with that. And the other thing, while we're at the technology center, you know, my daughter just been hired as one of the HR directors for the new Blue Oval plant in Glendale. I hope that they can partner with Nelson County Schools. They're going to have to hire 6,000 people. Most of those kids are going to be high school graduates. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you tonight, and just keep us posted on where we're at academically in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker will be Cassidy Ferguson. Okay, and she is speaking for herself. Oh, one moment.
Okay, I'm just short. Hello, I'm here to speak on a few comments mentioned last Tuesday at the Board Ignite meeting. Mr. Norman, you said we need to focus on getting our kids smarter. I agree that academics are incredibly important, but I've sat and listened to you talk about how uneducated our kids are for months. I'm here to tell you that our kids are extremely educated and intelligent. I see students in my classroom that would swear up and down they are not capable to meet the expectations I have for them. I show them that they are wrong. I believe in them and their ability to push through and learn, even when it does not come easy to them. Boy, do I wish you could see their faces when they finally learn or do something they said they couldn't. This is a moment that fills me with pride far more than any test score ever would. You continue to put our kids and their intelligence levels down, and how do you think that forces them to feel about themselves? If the board and the community doesn't believe I'm capable of great things, then maybe I'm not. If you want to talk about academics, I have students in my class taking college courses as sophomores, working their behinds off on top of their regular classes, core classes, sports, work, and other responsibilities to work toward graduating with an associate's degree. Also, let's face the facts that college is not for everyone. This year at the ATC, as Ms. Berryman put it, we have students who have earned over 170 career-ready certifications. These students, on top of the reading, writing, and math, as I've heard you put it, have opportunities that I could have only dreamed about as a high schooler or earlier. The students are gaining knowledge through real-world experiences, and you cannot ask for a more authentic learning experience than that. Ms. Berry, I've heard you say along the lines that we can talk until we are blue in the face, but you will not change your mind. You are not elected to vote specifically on what you want. At our forum a couple of weeks ago, our table that you sat at was adamant that option 2 was the only option worth looking at. You serve in my district and are completely ignoring the community comments, LPC, and the teachers and admin that just want equal opportunities for all. You have mentioned several times that middle schoolers should not be with high schoolers. End of story. You make the mistake that assuming that our high schoolers are bad. While no one is perfect, our high schoolers are being painted in a light that is just not right or fair to them. I have a now 6-year-old that has been around high schoolers for years with sports camps and other opportunities, and I will tell you that they have been better role models for him than even I could have imagined. All this to say is that I'm up here talking to you until I'm about blue in the face, asking you to please give our kids equal opportunities and the chance to show you how amazing they truly are. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. With that being said, we'll move on. That's our only 2 speakers. Next item is our monthly consent. What?
There's more people on the list.
No, those are, it prints out the whole list.
There's some here.
Where?
So there's.
Yeah, that's what I was going by right here. 16.
This guy.
No, that one's, this is already in.
No, see, the dates are here. This is the meeting they're signing up
Cole
for.
Milburn, David Borchowski.
No, this is April 24th.
They signed up for this meeting. They signed up for June 13th. And then,
So here's the first one right here.
okay. TJ Metcalf, Jessica Hogue, David Borchowski, Cole Milburn.
Okay, circle the rest of
TJ
them.
Metcalf, Jessica Hogue,
Okay,
Borchowski.
and these three.
I don't see Milburn.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. It reads across instead of down. That's my fault. TJ Metcalf?
Speaking for myself.
Excuse me?
I'm speaking for myself, visual.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
At the April board meeting, this board passed raises that decrease in percentage with the more experience you have. Several teachers were offended by this and set up a meeting with Wes to discuss it. At one of these meetings, Wes told the teachers to stop complaining and compared experienced teachers to old used cars. He even went as far as to tell them that if they wanted to work for more money, they could leave and go to Jefferson County. I want to remind Wes of the phrase he repeats frequently. The answer to how is yes. When you asked your teachers to create confusing classroom ecosystems, he said yes. When you asked your teachers to develop classroom websites, he said yes. When you asked your teachers to give up their free time to play kickball at pride games, to work for free to create floats for Christmas parades, decorate windows at local businesses and more, we said yes. We say yes to everything Wes Bradley is asked, no matter how silly, no matter how much work, no matter how little educational outcome it has on a student. We say yes, and for saying yes, what do we get? We get told to leave. So in a district whose teacher turnover rate last year was 9% higher than the state average, with some schools having a turnover rate as high as 54%, a district where 43% of our teachers have 3 or fewer years of experience, with some schools having as high as 75%, Wes is telling his experienced teachers, Wes, some of your most ardent supporters who organized a rally in your favor outside of Amanda Deaton's office, were in that room. And you told them they were nothing more than a used car, and they should work somewhere else. So our teachers, the people who do the work every day, we say yes. The same teachers who you were quoted in the Kentucky Standard this month being overworked, we say yes to all of the extra work you ask us to do. Wes didn't mention that while he's giving experienced teachers a 1% raise, he gets a guaranteed 1.5% raise every year. No matter how many teachers we lose, no matter how many students we lose to surrounding districts, no matter how many schools KDE comes into, Wes still receives a 1.5% raise to his $138,000 salary each year. He explained these raises as equitable and that a new teacher and a 25-year teacher would still be receiving the same amount of money, roughly $1,000. So Wes, I challenge you to follow the example of equity, turn down your 1.5% raise and accept a 0.7% raise, roughly $1,000. I thought we were finished with this rhetoric and teacher bashing when Anthony Orr left, but I guess we're not. I urge you to start valuing your experienced teachers, for the backbone of the school matter.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be.
At what point do we address when someone just blatantly lies at the microphone? We don't address those?
We don't.
Okay.
Next speaker would be Ms. Jessica Hogue. Yourself or a group? Okay, group NC forward. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
I didn't do it.
Oh,
It started,
Oh.
it'll get connected.
okay. Jessica Hogue, speaking on behalf of NC Forward. I don't have anything planned, but I have 5 minutes. And one thing I do want to say is I'm really tired. I am really tired of watching the same conversations happen over and over, the same people saying, I don't know what the answer is. We have these inequities. I'm really tired of the lies. I'm really tired of the misinformation being spread. I'm tired of people not being able to interpret the data correctly. So I'm tired. And we're not moving forward. It's embarrassing, really, what is going on with some of our board members. We killed the community campus project. You all have made that perfectly clear. The one thing, though, is that the west side of this county have needs that are still unmet. And you have no plan. You have Band-Aids that you can put, and you haven't even talked to the principals that would be impacted if you move all of these kids to OKA. That's embarrassing to even be talking about something and not have talked to the leadership of that building. Cox's Creek has seen growth for the last 25 years. We'll continue to see growth, and yet we still don't have a West Side Middle School to service that side of the county. The data shows where people live. The data is data. I don't know how else to say that. The money issue, that continues to get brought up. We don't have enough money, but yet we continue to debunk all of that. So now we're at this, let's have this option or this option. So last Tuesday, Tracy brought up the 8 through 12 model. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. But then I thought about it, and her reflections are true. And 8 through 12, if we're really only thinking about option 1, which is let's do the same thing we've always done, except, hey, let's put the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from Boston and New Haven to OKH, further overcrowding that school, which, again, no one has talked to the principal about. That's not doing anything different. That's not fixing any problems. I think Mr. Jackie said it perfectly. It's kicking the can down the road, whatever that saying is. So the 8 through 12 model is actually the better option out of those two options because it actually holds these board members accountable to do something in the short term. It's a short-term solution to the Boston issue. It's a short-term solution to New Haven, allows New Haven to get its renovation, but then it forces them to address the west side of the county, which has been ignored for 25 plus years. And I will say that too, that community campus is the best option, but if we're talking about only two options. Lastly, if you can't put your unethical campaign promises aside, and I'm talking to specific board members, you know who I'm talking to, and you cannot do what is right for the students of this district, we at NC Forward respectfully ask that you step down from your position because you took an oath to do what is right for every student, and you're unable to do that. It should not be this hard, and we should not have to fight this hard for all students to have the same opportunities across this district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker will be Deborah Bocheski.
Hi, Deborah Bohachevsky. I'm with the group Save Our Schools. Yeah, I'm tired too. We've been fighting this fight way longer, actually almost 2 years, over 2 years, 2.5 years, not just since January. Anyways, I've had some parents contact me about school lunches and how that they're only served in New Haven this year. And on the district's website, it says all other cafeterias are operating only for school programs. And from what I understand, the school programs are for the kids who are in childcare and the summer camp, day classes, whatnot. So I'm wondering, why just New Haven? Is it economically disadvantaged? If that's the case, New Haven has 63% economically disadvantaged kids. Bloomfield Elementary is just underneath that with 61. Bloomfield Middle, 56. Then the rest of the schools pretty much run right around 51, 50%. I know the principal might argue otherwise, but there is economically disadvantaged kids other than in New Haven. And so hopefully we can do better with that in the future. I'd like to congratulate TJ on what he said about the teachers. You know, I just got a text message this morning from some upset teachers, and teachers are our greatest resource, and experienced teachers are even actually above that. And at a time when finding teachers is such a struggle, almost crisis mode, it just blows my mind when we have a superintendent walking around asking, how many more years do you got left? That's something that's gone on for years. And then just today, some teachers were told that they should start looking for other jobs because they cost too much. Mr. Bradley, you cost too much. You're costing us a lot. And I've got other things on my list, but that just really upsets me. And I'll finish with, I had a conversation with an attorney at the Attorney General's office just a couple weeks ago. And when I talked to him about what's going on in Nelson County schools, he just shook his head. And when I told him about the community campus, and I was shocked what came out of his mouth. He said, wow, as an attorney, the first thing that comes to my mind is that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is, Nicole Milburn, please. Okay,
Who was it?
Nicole Milburn. And she is not here. Okay, that is it, correct?
I think that's it.
Okay, we're making sure. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Our next item is our monthly consent agenda, which includes our monthly finance report, leaves of absence, minutes from previous meeting, fundraiser request, overnight out-of-state field trip request, mental health MOAs, Advanced Kentucky MOA, Up Center MOA, MOA with vocational rehab, and policy and procedure second reading. I will need a motion to approve such items.
Before the motion, one, just so that people know that we're possibly here last Tuesday, the first readings, and I'm looking around for him, Mr. Martin, I think I saw him, there he is, I saw the hand go up. Mr. Martin did provide clarification to the question that I had asked about the tuition piece, and I think that the board, it kind of answered the question that I posed to everybody's satisfaction. So the wording of it, as it was last Tuesday, stayed as is. It was just something for us to get a little bit more information about where it said tuition in one policy, or I'm sorry, it didn't say tuition in one policy, but it talked about tuition in a procedure. And it sounded like Mr. Martin ended up providing a good explanation for that to us. The only other thing I've got is just a question. So I noticed MOAs are on here now, whereas in past, we've always typically had MOAs as separate agenda items. Just curious as to the purpose. I mean, most of these MOAs are usually very straightforward MOAs, memorandum of agreements with other entities. I'm just curious about why they're in the consent agenda now versus in individual agenda items like they have been in the past.
Yeah, as I shared out yesterday, these are pieces that are relatively straightforward, not a lot of money moving, and just kind of annual processes. So we're trying to, just because we've had so many things on the agenda, we were trying to shorten that out.
Okay.
Okay. I need a motion, please, to approve.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jackie. I need a second, please.
Make a second.
Okay, Ms. Bowling, thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Our next item is our annual state and federal compliance and our personnel notification. That's just for our information only, the board's. No action taken. B, diverse learning post-school success, Amanda Tucker. Ooh, already up here. Thank you.
Amanda Tucker, Boston.
Matt.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So I'm really excited tonight to talk about post-secondary success for diverse learning students. So Ms. Berryman talked about connecting with students 1 year out, 3 year out, 5 year out. So an annual compliance indicator for special education and diverse learning every year is the Youth 1 Year Out results, YOYO for short, if you are familiar with those indicators. And while we do this every year, it allows us to think about what does the data show and where is the support that our diverse learning students need as they think about post-secondary success and transition. So tonight, the MOA that I have linked on the agenda for you is a partnership with the Kentucky Department of Education and the American Recovery Plan. And there is $150,000 that the Nelson County Schools is being offered to think strategically about post-secondary success for diverse learning students. So with the $150,000, it's covered over the course of 2 years that we would have to secure those funds and to have an action plan. And so really the steps are to think about where are we currently as a district with our youth 1 year out, and then where is the support that our diverse learning students need to be as successful as they can to live, work, and grow here in Nelson County. So this MOA allows us to secure the funds to put together a district team made up of workforce leaders, diverse learning leaders through all aspects, whether it be LBD or MSD, to say, where do our students need success in transition? So when we think through partnerships like Voc Rehab that you just approved an MOA for, and working with partnerships like Guthrie, what do our students need? So the MOA tonight is to secure the funds and the partnership with KDE and ARP to help specifically with diverse learning transition.
I don't think we're ever going to turn down $150,000 for
would hope
diverse learners. Okay, I need a motion to approve the post-school success for a grant of $150,000.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Deaton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Tucker, did we explain the graph here?
So basically, the yo-yo data is 1 year old. Okay, so we're getting ready to start this summer for 2023. So we have indicator A, B, and C on 14. So 14A is higher education. And I think we've seen this, and I've talked to other directors regionally, and it's like, why does that happen? A lot of that, not to blame on the pandemic, but when you think about that transition and accommodation of support, we didn't have a lot of our moderate to severe students seek additional opportunities of higher education. That's also something that as a district we're thinking through. What does that partnership with Voc Rehab look like? Carl Perkins, like that's a wonderful vocational center in the state. Do we have families connected to those? And this, we can't wait for this until a kid is aging out at the age of 21 in diverse learning or their senior year of high school. And I think you'll see that with leaders that we have now. This is a conversation that must start earlier with our families and our students. What does success look like when you have a 6th grade student? What is the plan for that student? So here you have higher education, and all of these are added together. And then you have, are they competitively employed, meaning 30 plus hours a week? And then Fort Conway Heaton, but needs some scaffolded supportive employment.
So a little bit of what I'm hearing you say there is looking at the data and then working your way backwards to figure out the why. Why is it 0.0 or relatively none?
And I think some of that too comes from, you know, initiatives that we'll have this year to think about communication. Do our families know about Carl Perkins? Are they connected? We talked about the networks. Do our families know that these are opportunities that exist to accommodate their students and their individualized pathway? Because really that's what we want for all students, right? Not just diverse learners. We're just thankful to have $150,000 to allocate towards that specifically. So really exciting.
Well, you know, they're not going to know, as before, who knows who knows who. It's how you can connect with some leader, some
absolutely
group,
not what you know, but who you know.
some
right?
class.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Thank
Yes.
you all very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, next we have Ms. Lee with grant application acceptance.
Hello. Within the past couple of months, we had come and asked permission to apply for some grants. Typically, that timeline in the past has been 6 to 9 months before awards are announced, but fortunately, those processes have been expedited. And so we were offered the Reading Diagnostic Grant from KDE, which is a competitive grant to provide curriculum and training and support for students in grades K through 3. The board approved 4 applications, and that was for New Haven, Boston, Bloomfield, and Foster Heights, and all 4 were awarded. And so that is the first grant that we are looking at today. And the second grant is for the facility repair grant. Ms. Henderson had put that together. It's an application for up to $10,000 for our child care programs. You may recall that we were awarded that grant last year at Boston and New Haven. Now the other 3 sites, Foster Heights, Bloomfield, and Cox's Creek, have been awarded this amount. So I am here this evening to ask the board to accept those grant awards.
I don't think that's going to be hard either. I need a motion to accept the grant awards as presented.
Motion.
That's so good. Take
Now, it's yours.
Okay,
Go
it's
make a
yours.
motion.
Okay, Ms. Bowling, thank you. I hear second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Jackie, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ms.
Lee.
Higgs. Next, we have the Nelson County Schools Police Department Policy and Procedures. Ms. Melissa Case.
Good evening. So I'm coming to you guys this evening with basically a procedures and policy manual for Nelson County Schools Police Department as it stands as its own entity as a police department in Nelson County, serving Nelson County schools. And just as common practice, a police department would have policies and procedures in place. The board policies are separate from these policies, which is why it wasn't on the agenda last time, to not be confused between the two. In every instance, board policy would take precedence over the police department policies as they exist. But these policies do a couple of things. It legitimizes the police department a bit more. And if you look at the policies, you'll notice that they aren't necessarily policies that align with teaching and learning. So, you know, we don't have agency jurisdiction policies on our board policy. So they're specific to law enforcement, and 4 of them actually are necessary to be approved in order for us to get CLEP funding for our SROs, and that is a fund that just provides our SROs with additional money to receive training that aligns to school SRO.
Missing most of these policies come from the Center for School Safety.
So we are really modeling, whenever you ask anybody at the Center of School Safety, who do we need to reach out to get support? And it's always Montgomery County Schools. The officer there, the chief of that department, has been running that department for a while. Really, these policies, if you were to go to KLEC and download sample policies, they're pretty much spot on what the law enforcement agencies all use. You know, a little bit of change in our department name and small things here or there. But yes, they are policies that are adopted by most of the police departments for schools. And our lawyers have read over them all and have given feedback. So they've gone through that process as well.
So this is a new and emerging field in education, and there's a few pioneers out there, including Mac and his team, who are working across the state, and this is really a byproduct of that work going on across the state. We expect to see these policies continue to expand and grow each year.
And this doesn't necessarily have to do with this, but I understand the school resource officer. Are we looking for additional school resource officers?
We are.
Okay.
We are. It would be really great to have at least one more to start the school year. So if you have friends or family or people that are just darn good people that would like to work with the Nelson County Schools and support us in that way, they can go online to apply.
I think what we're seeing is similar issues in other agencies as well. I saw just today that Bardstown Police Department's looking for staff, whether it's lateral or recruits. I think we've seen it from Nelson County as well. So
yes.
As I kept listening to you, I kept looking back here towards our chief, and I saw a lot of head shakes in affirmative as you were going through things, and I think that answers a question that I had internally, which was engagement of our chief on the development of this document as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Fully inclusive. I will throw a shout out, a little plug to our local departments, because with having one SRO and covering 12 schools, you know, if there's something happening in Bloomfield and he's in New Haven, we still have to rely on our local departments, and they have been
so supportive. I've really enjoyed building that relationship this year, and I have them on speed dial, like probably drive them a little bit crazy, but you know, whatever we need to do for the safety of our kids. But they've just been super supportive, and I'm grateful for those departments. Yeah, we just did. We just did our school walkthroughs that we do annually, where we had Bardstown Police Department, the Nelson County Sheriff's Department. We had departments across the board for fire and EMS, and so we went through each of the schools. They pointed out things that could, you know, stand a little additional support, and really mostly celebrated all of the systems and the things that we've put into place over the course of the last year, where we addressed concerns from last year's walkthrough. So that was a pretty powerful thing. Yeah, we do have that. I can talk to you about that a little bit more. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, lots of cool things going on. I think this just kind of brings it on home. Like we have our own police department, and I really want to lean into that and hopefully get some more officers on board.
It provides order and expectation.
Right.
And that's
right.
the only thing that we would expect there is the order and the expectation.
Exactly. So this would be first reading, and then would bring it back for approval in July.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the first reading of the NCSPD policies and procedures as presented.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jackie. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Norman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a facility bond by Jessica Rogers, and also the pledge of collateral by Jessica Rogers.
Two easy things tonight.
Thank you.
So easy, they could have been on the consent agenda, but there was a timing issue. So the first one is the fidelity bond. KDE sets the amount that each school must bond their CFO for. Nelson County says $400,000. This is just approving that insurance, basically.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the fidelity bond for Jessica Rogers to be bonded. Hear a motion? Okay, thank you, Ms. Deaton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Bowling. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
And the second thing is the pledge of collateral from our bank. Basically, this is just insurance from our bank that our money is safe. They must pledge a certain amount of collateral each year, and we send this agreement to KDE. So I'm just asking that you approve this agreement with West Banco.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the pledge of collateral with West Banco as presented for a period from July 1st, was fiscal year of July 1st, 23 through June 30th of 25.
The agreement is for 2 years,
2 years.
but we have to do it every year.
I started saying you still have to do it every year.
We still have to do it every year.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Norman, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jackie. I hear all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello and good evening. We're here to update you all with the Next Gen Professional Summer Plan and the things that are happening across our district. So I'm going to talk about our kickoff on Monday at Nelson County High School, where we have about 110 educators across our district coming together to dive into deep work for our students and for our staff to better us. So we're going to be focusing on our students' benefits. That's what our focus for next week's going to be, is on the students' benefits and the accountability and signals piece. And then we're going to come back together in July, and we're going to dive into our Standards of Success compasses and maps together as teams. The other things that are taking place across the district throughout the month of June and July is for emerging professionals. So our emerging professionals are new teachers that are coming in, or teachers that are in year 1 to year 3. We have several different opportunities that are not, they're outside of the leadership learning pathways. So they're not within that, they're in addition to those 10 days that they could sign up for and learn about different things to better themselves as educators and support their students in learning. We also did open that up to supporting next-gen professionals as well. So if there was a teacher out there that saw a topic that interested them, then they could sign up for that as well to better themselves in professional development.
So the two other pathways that we have are instructional leadership. So that's looking at principals, vice principals, backpack leaders, anybody that serves an instructional leadership role. So we've been working with those teams to think about strategic planning around our instructional backpack, which are consistent systems and structures around academics. So that is one pathway that we are also having for the summer. It's a very busy summer, as you can see. And then another one is focus priorities. So those are more summer learning around things like literacy, math, instruction. You all approved the Advanced Kentucky Partnership. That goes along with that, laying the foundation. I know that Teresa's got some early literacy things going on this summer, as well as Kentucky Center for Math coming in. So those are very targeted, focused priorities in the summer learning that goes along with that. So if Mr. Bradley will go to the next slide here. We do have some data back from our PSAT 8-9. That is a part of the Advanced Kentucky Initiative. So with the Advanced Kentucky Partnership, our students that are in middle school take the PSAT 8-9. So here are results from this spring. So this is before any professional learning that happens with laying the foundation. This is before the goal setting, before Advanced Kentucky really partners. This is kind of a preliminary data point. So you can see here that we have, we're about 7% over the state average with evidence-based reading and writing at our middle schools. And this is something that we could see grow along the year because we could see that in our PLCs. We saw our OKH students win 19 out of 20 writing awards with our Chamber of Commerce, so we could see this growth happening all along the year. But it's really nice to see this data ahead of time because we can see that we're doing well with reading and writing, and the things that we're doing are effective. We're going to keep on doing that, keep on digging deeper into that with professional learning. And we can see that we're 4% below, this is with 7th graders,